relish these times together.
Do you?
Yeah. That's hopeless.
It's got a cowlick. So anyway.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to our weekly check-in. We are really happy to be with you here this morning and give you a little update on what's going on in climate news at the State House. Date to put on your calendar for this coming week on February 4th. We are going to do another of our roadshow events, and the roadshow this week will be at the State House. So hope you can come and join us. We're going to give you a little check-in on our banner priorities. And
it's 6 o'clock on Tuesday.
6 o'clock on Tuesday in room 11, which is the big room downstairs at the State House. So I hope you can come and join us. We would love to have your help in pushing through these banner priorities, and we'll also talk a little bit about how all of the little every committee projects are going, and have an opportunity for some Q&A. So if there's anything that you've wondered about our banner priorities, come and ask the question.
And it'd be great to have a lot of people come out just to reinforce the idea that we know that Vermonters are really interested in making progress.
Yeah.
There was, speaking of progress, some good news up in Chittenden County. Do you want to mention that? I wasn't part of it myself, even though I represent Chittenden County. But
I wasn't part of it either. Okay. It's your electric buses,
right? Yeah. No, they got electric buses. That's the big news. Boom, boom, boom. The governor was there, all sorts of people celebrating.
Yeah. See some cool pictures.
So it's sort of a pilot. Electric buses, like electric cars, are costly up front, but very, very affordable to operate.
And quiet.
And emissions free and all of that. So it'll be great to see how that works. I believe some of that comes out of the VW settlement money, which is forcing us to make good investments in sustainable transportation.
Yeah.
I have a little update this
Excellent.
week. Today, in fact, it's now 8 in the morning on Friday. Later today, Senate Finance is going to be looking at the 100% renewables bill. We've got solar people coming in, sort of the pro side today. I think Sierra Club's going to come in, and some others who have involved in solar installation. And I believe they're going to say this is really important. We've actually been dropping in solar jobs over the last few years. We had been at a peak in the country, actually, per capita, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and that's tapered off. You know, I don't think we would expect to be forever at the peak, but clearly we want these good-paying jobs locally that are promoting a renewable grid. So that is underway. This is S267 in Senate Finance this afternoon. You can't stream it, unfortunately, but if you're really eager, you could email the committee for Senate Finance. You can look it up on the website, and you could get an audio recording if it's, or you can just email me. I'll tell you how it's going. At yesterday's meeting, we had we went over some of our every committee bills, EC bills. They're not all bills, but you want to talk about any of those? We got our list here.
Yeah, so we got an update on how the Act 250 rewrite is going. Act 250 is 50 years old at this point and has had some tweaks along the way, but never a major rewrite. And it was really heartening to hear that a lot of what they're focused on is related to climate and climate resiliency and dense settlement in communities, so that we've got more housing near where people work and where they shop. So the Act 250 rewrite is on its way, and you were a part of the predecessor to this work.
So part of the idea is that we make it easier for people to develop down in downtowns, designated downtowns, and so you remove Act 250 from that process altogether. And so we were learning yesterday that while we're doing that, we're still insisting that those developments be energy efficient, meet codes, etc. One of the other things that came out was Representative Waltz, who's on the General Housing General Committee in the House. I forget the name. They are looking into, one of the challenges we've had for electric vehicles is people that rent houses and are in multifamily units.
Can't run an extension cord out the window to charge your EV. So
right, let's hope. And so there is a discussion about making bigger developments, 10 units or more, come pre-equipped. Sort of have if you're going to build a new building, you have to at least have some facility for car charging. this becomes important when we start thinking about 10 years down the road when it won't be 2% of the fleet anymore, right? So we want to make sure that those become accessible for renters. I do have my own update. This was, I think we talked about this last week, but the idea that people could get into green mortgages. The banks are able to do this, and the idea is you get your mortgage for your house, but you add on a little bit to build solar or wrap your house or whatever. That puts you into a green mortgage, which is a nicer interest rate. The hurdle that banks tell us they're facing is appraisers. We don't know how to value solar, and there's only, I think, 2 green appraisers. So we're digging into that as part of the work on S220, which is how we have a host of professionals that we're bringing in to join us on as partners. What else we got? We learned that the House Human Services, which deals more with mental health than healthcare necessarily, but they've sort of tasked themselves to keeping an eye on this stuff.
Yep. House Healthcare is definitely keeping an eye on the extended range of tick-borne illnesses.
Yep.
They want to keep focusing on that because we know that diagnosis and treatment for tick-borne illnesses is a challenge, and Vermont is being hit harder than any other state as far as what we've heard. So keeping an eye on some of the consequences of climate change, as well as trying to do our part to reduce emissions.
Let's see, what else? We've got the TCI had a couple forums this week. Seemed to go okay from what we're heard. I wasn't able to get to one. I will be in Burlington. The next TCI public forum, which I hope people will get to, is in Burlington on the 6th, February 6th, Thursday night, 6 to 8 at Contois. And then the following week in Springfield.
On the 13th, Thursday night, 6 to 8 in Springfield. So we'll get some detailed information up on the bottom of the screen for you.
It's great to have people show up, just even to learn about it. This is the potentially up to 12 states in the Northeast joining Cap and Invest system to help us all tackle transportation and emissions from transportation. And, it came out at the St. Johnsbury meeting. Somebody said, well, I drive 35 miles every day to work, which is common, right, in Vermont. And first of all, part of the goal is that we would have money to invest to help people not have to drive alone, maybe. Maybe we're able to find some money to invest in park and rides. I mean, this is one of the easiest ways to do it.
Carpooling, van-pooling.
Things like that. We might also, people are talking about helping bigger businesses figure out transportation strategies so that you don't all have to drive alone to get to work. This will provide some resources. But the sample came up, if you're driving 35 miles every day to work, the cost potentially is like 25 cents. And
that's a cup of coffee a week. Dang.
Well, 25 cents a trip. That's cheap coffee. Is that how much coffee is it?
25 cents a trip?
Yeah.
It's a small cup of coffee.
Yeah. That's a tiny, after the whole week of driving, you've bought one cup of coffee. And, that's not nothing. We're not callous about that. That's for people who drive. Some people drive 100 miles a day. We get that. But we don't get out of the emergency here by doing absolutely nothing differently, right?
And the potential for the investment that we'll be able to make in helping Vermonters save money on their transportation costs in the long run is really not something that we want to sneeze at. So we encourage you to come and pay attention to what's going on with TCI. We're going to watch it as it goes forward, and we're going to make sure that if TCI comes into being, that we're going to do it in a way that works for Vermont. So we appreciate folks staying involved and staying on top of all those issues.
And I noticed on the Facebook page, somebody had a comment about something I'd said at a forum, which is that one of the dynamics, if TCI goes forward, is that it's off budget. And he sort of said, well, now how will we monitor this? What does that mean? This is just a sneaky Montpelier trick. I want to clarify what I mean, because it's not sneaky. We can monitor it. But what it means to be off budget is things like is being conceived of with TCI is not coming through the appropriations process every year where we say, well, we raised this much on the income tax. How are we going to spend it? TCI would be sort of separate. It would be off budget. It will be like money comes in because of the regional program,
would
and
be
it goes
a sustainable transportation budget, which is
Yes.
currently not its own budget.
That's right. But it was a term of art that maybe was confusing, and I just wanted to clarify that in case people were wondering.
What's next?
What else? I think that's it for our list here.
All right.
Nice.
So let's put in another plug for February 4th.
Yeah.
All of our roadshow events have had, between 35 and 110 people at them. So we would love it if we could turn out 100 people on February 4th from 6 to 8 in room 11. And please definitely come out and celebrate with us, because February 4th is
Bob the Green Guy,
birthday.
who does these videos for us.
Yes.
Thank you, Bob.
So Bob is somewhere behind the camera here on this event, but February 4th, we'll give him a little high five for a happy birthday, and I'm sure that we'll have a great conversation. So thank you for sharing that with your friends and helping us turn out lots of people. And thank you again to Bob the Green Guy for helping us.
Thanks to all the Vermonters who are watching and following along, and add your voice anywhere you can.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks. All right.